was a big LL Cool J fan.
I was a big LL Cool J fan.
Nice. Nice. Hold on, I actually might have that on my playlist.
Oh, I can bust out some LL Cool J for you right here.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Yep, you have no idea.
Yeah, I didn't brace myself for this type of content, I'm going to be honest.
Hey, I want you to know,
Oh no, I'm on my 80s music hits countdown. I'm not on my 90s.
You were all over the place today.
I have been a little buck wild today with the music selection, but LL was on the playlist.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a Burrell thing.
My wife often asks, how come all these guys that graduated from Montague in the 90s listen to gangster rap and know every lyric? She's baffled by it. She does not understand it.
Man.
But Jeff, me, obviously Tater, all of us. I don't know. It's weird. So
there's some quality music.
All right, Zach, you want to bring us?
I grew up on the west side. That's great. You know,
you want to bring us in, Zach?
Yeah.
This is going to be off.
Welcome back to Episode 8 of the CatchMark SportsNet podcast. I'm your host, Zach Zweigle, joined in the corner by our fearless leader, Brent Raeth, and a special guest today. A special guest, Brad Tate, Montague native.
Yes.
He will be joining us and offering some interesting opinions, I'm sure, for sure. In place of Mr. Scott DeVamp, who is in Cabo.
We don't need to mention this. I don't need to hear any more about golf.
He's actually playing on that golf course.
You know what,
right
Billy?
now.
We didn't need to hear that. I don't want to hear it. I've already told him. He sent me pictures via text one day about the course, and I pulled it out. I put a red pen across it, and I sent it back, and I said, I can't even see these. I don't know what you're talking about. So,
yeah, I've had it with that guy, man.
So, Brad's joining us today. I told Zach, I warned him I was going to ask Brad a question because Bradley, so you're at Montague now.
Yes.
We're glad to have you back.
Glad to be back.
But I've often been confused. So I moved back in 2011, and I'd see Brad walking around town. I'd say hi to him. Brad, you have your kids go to Whitehall.
Yes.
You live in Montague.
Yes.
And then you taught in Oak Ridge for 20 years-ish?
22 years.
22 years?
22 years.
What gives, man? Make up your mind. Do you have an indecision problem, or
I got to throw out some love to the West Michigan Conference. First off, we got to back the train up here. So you got to understand, my dad's second teaching job after he left Vassar, Michigan, after graduating from Alma College, was.
Nice Scott's plug there.
Yeah, you got this. See, I want to make sure that gets on the camera. I'm a big Scots man, a grad myself. But when he came to Shelby, I have an older sister that graduated from Shelby, and then when we moved to Montague, obviously I graduated from Montague.
Yep.
Well, after I graduated, my parents moved to Whitehall.
Yeah.
And my younger sister graduated from Whitehall. And then I got married, and my wife is a Mason County grad.
You guys.
And
holy cow.
Yes. So I, other than Hart, Ravenna, and North Muskegon, we've touched base. All. Yeah, we've been. Yeah, So
I'm gonna tease you a little bit more here.
Oh boy,
Bradley.
I'm ready.
So my best friend growing up was Mr. Chris Dawson. He's also a partner in CatchMark. And Chris,
also an Alma grad.
Also an Alma grad.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. So should I name the others? Randy Lindquist.
Exactly.
We'll just keep going. So he and Mr. Tim Shunsky made sure that I mentioned that they were by far the better golfers on the Alma golf team, and I just wondered if you had any rebuttal to that comment, or
I'm not one, Brent, that likes to pat oneself on the back or to
That's garbage.
I don't like to talk a lot of junk, but I've got Hal, Brent, I've got I've got an MVP trophy at my house. I've actually got 2 all MIAA conference team memberships. So I don't know what they have in theirs. I think their closet's probably empty.
Allegedly, you have those things allegedly because we technically haven't seen them.
Okay, well I'm gonna have to go down and find those, and I don't like to. I don't want to put.
So you were there 1 year with them, right?
Well,
your senior year.
They were.
Yeah, because we were. Yeah, I think that's right.
They would have been 2 years. They were there 2 years because Chris would have graduated in '98.
No, I think you're wrong. Drama on the podcast.
I graduated
your senior year in high school.
'92.
Yeah, we were freshmen.
Okay.
So that would have put them freshmen in college, unless you took an extra year to get out of your.
Nope, it took me 4. It took me 4. 92 high school. My father said you're done in 4. I was like,
now I don't know about Shunsky. Shunsky could be a year older than Chris and I. So
and he might have been on the 10-year plan at college. I'm not. We're really kind of confused how he got accepted. That's when I was really beginning to wonder how important of a degree was mine, and what clout was there going to be if someone like him. No, I'm kidding. Those guys are just
great dudes.
Unbelievable, funny. Best friend, some of the best friends I got in this world.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Brad. Alma College, you're a proud grad, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
What is it about Alma? Like what is it about the small school? Pitch it to the kids out there.
It for me it was. I started going to a basketball camp there. They used to have a Milwaukee Bucks basketball camp, and my father always in the summer was a coach there.
Yep.
So from the time I was 9 years old all the way through high school, I went there every summer. Being that my father is my major role model, I still look up to my father. Kind of want to follow in his footsteps and literally go there if I could. And the lure that drew me there was the smaller campus, the fact that I could still compete athletically.
Yep.
And the fact that I was 2 hours away from home, which was a fair distance, but it was enough that I felt that I could spread my wings a little bit and kind of grow a little bit. It's one of those things that I think if you can afford it and it's able to be financially feasible, I think it's awesome. I have no regrets. I would do it over it again. But I'm also excited, in our area that we have that Muskegon Promise for kids at the community college. I like the fact that, we're to a point that colleges need to figure out ways to give all kids an opportunity to go. And to me, at times, I'm frustrated as a teacher because I want all my kids to have those aspirations. But college isn't for everyone, and it shouldn't have to be. But if for those who are, I would love for them to have the opportunity that I did.
No, that's great. Yeah. So did you only play golf, or did you play basketball?
I played basketball as well, and that was an eye-opening experience. You obviously the whole syndrome of you got a small pond that you're in here in this community, and then you get to college and you're like, wow. These guys were.
You were an all-conference basketball player in high school, right?
Yeah, I was. My senior year, I was fortunate. So.
Yeah, I always remember the thing that I was always amazed about you, Brad, is that, and even nowadays, I mean, what can you weigh? Like 115 pounds or something like that?
In high school, I was very. It all goes back to biology. I remember I was in class one day.
It goes back to biology.
And we were talking about, genetic breeding and how this happens, that if you take a large male and a female with certain characteristics, that the child
not this kind of show, Brad. That's not the kind of show this is.
No, but I was sitting there and I went, okay, my father, he's a good sized man, and then I'm looking at my very petite mother and I'm like, okay, this is where it all went down.
That's how it happened.
So I came home, and it was the most interesting dinner conversation you could imagine.
Sure, yeah,
my mother didn't like where it turned, and I just told my father, I said, well, if you'd have married a 6-foot-plus woman, I would have been the 6'4" banger down low that I wanted to be. And, I could have, had much more of a chance of being the Charles Barkley I wanted to be.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I use you as an example. Every team I've coached, you've come up. And the reason is because you're a great example of somebody. I really believe you punched above your weight, and you played you watch guys that are big and they play small, and then there's these guys that are not big, not like, and they play huge. And I always remember, as a young guy watching you and being like, man, Brad just plays hard. So it was actually, I was going to a good spot with that, but no, that's awesome. So did you play all 4 years at Alma?
I did not. I played my second year at college, and I should have played my first year, but I was so concerned about trying to balance. Golf was a fall sport.
Yeah.
And my grades were good, Dean's List, but I had an older sister, and she went to Hope College, and I'm not trying to bash Hope. I'm not. I think that's also a wonderful school, but my sister lost some scholarships because she couldn't keep her the grades, and she wasn't competing in sports, but I had that fear that what happens if my grade point was to drop? Would I lose the aid? Because for me, that was why I was able to go to Alma, was the scholarships I received. Yeah. And I looking back, I would have loved to have jumped on it, but it was just that fear, and when I played my second year, it was enjoyable, but at the same point, I was getting to the point where two sports, academics, it's a lot to take in, and like you said, at the college level, if you're not big and
it's different, isn't it?
It's different, yeah. But I love the guys I played with. I still talk to them.
That's awesome.
Still see them, but again, it was my father. He had competed 4 years in baseball, 4 years in basketball, so I guess trying to do that. But it was a good experience overall.
That's
Can't
awesome.
complain.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that don't get to play any college sports.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
No, that's all my Brad Tate questions I had. I got
I want to know
out.
more about your move from Oak Ridge to
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's a huge deal. You really don't hear about very many teachers that teach for 2 decades and then contemplate moving somewhere else. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, and I want to throw this out there. I when I graduated from college, I wasn't going into education. I thought I wanted to go in the business world, so I took a sidestep and went over and lived in Utica for a year, and attempted to kind of see, is this where I want to go? And it ended up not being the best thing for me. I was good at my job, I enjoyed it, but I wanted a little bit more.
What was your job? Like, what did you do?
I worked in. I started off. Tom Cullen, also a Montague grad.
Yep.
He lives in the area now, I believe, in Twin Lake. He got me the job. We lived on the same street, and he had moved over there for a company called Ty Coating, and I was interested in anything at the time, so he was able to get me an interview. It was a great. I honestly felt like that was maybe the best interview I've ever had in my life. I don't know why, but it was. And so I started, at the bottom rung. And I think, in any business, when you work customer service, I think that's a great place to start. It gets you. I think, my philosophy in life is, nothing really should be given to you. You need to earn it, as far as I'm concerned. And I got to see where it was going, and I was making good money. I think for me the extremes of West Michigan living, east side of the state living. I got rear-ended twice in a year over there. I couldn't believe how fast people were driving, the pace. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Longed to be home. I would come home on weekends, play golf with my father, and
because you probably couldn't get a tee time on this.
I couldn't get
I actually lived. I worked at the Detroit Arsenal, so in north of Detroit for about 6 years. Kara and I did before we ended up moving back here too. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
it was, and it's not. I think for some people it's great, but again, one of the reasons I chose a small town college was I'm a small town boy.
Yep.
And I'm proud of that. I like where we live. I think we're blessed. We live in such a great community of people, and you got schools and just a safety.
Yeah.
So for me, that drew me back, and I had told my parents when I went to college I was going to be anything but a teacher. It's going to be anything. I was like, those people are crazy. I'm like, I see how hard you guys work, and they're always saying you have your summers off, and you don't have your summers off. You're planning, you're prepping, you're coaching, and I was like, I'm not going to be a teacher. No, I can't do it. And I just had an experience where after I was working at Thai Coding, I was tutoring after work some kids, and it turned into, I really like this. I enjoy this relationship aspect with kids, and so my dad said, well, you could always go back and get your teaching certificate. So I went to Aquinas College in Grand Rapids, because it was Grand Valley. They were just able to get me in quicker. It was a little bit more expensive, but again, that kind of small town atmosphere. And I got it, and then I got Dan Beckman.
Yep.
Used to be the principal, just retired recently from Reese Puffer.
Yeah.
What a wonderful,
good ball player himself.
Just an unbelievable athlete.
And a class act.
And class act.
Good dude.
Exactly. So my father and him went all the way back to coaching. Dan was the basketball coach at Grant when he defeated our '89 basketball team at Montague in the regional finals.
Got a video of that.
Yes, unbelievable.
On digital.
And it just it crushed me. I thought that was a stellar.
So
team.
how old were you? You were like 8th grade?
I was 8th grade when we moved, halfway through my 8th grade year, and but Dan was able to set it up that I did my student teaching with a man named Jim Harris, Mr. Harris.
Kidding.
Yeah.
And
that's nuts. I didn't know any of this.
Yes, and Mr. Harris, I'm going to tell you, to this given day, he and my father are the two best educators I've come across, and he changed my life. And when I got done student teaching at Whitehall, I wanted to work with him, be at Whitehall. I ended up subbing for half a year.
Yep.
And getting jobs anywhere is all about timing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the timing just wasn't right. And I was upset because I just felt if you ever get the opportunity to meet Mr. Harris, and he gets
that's Red, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've met him numerous times.
He's
a good dude.
God, he's amazing. Kind of like I don't know, he was almost the bedrock of Whitehall in my opinion. But anyways, I got an opportunity. I interviewed in the morning at Oak Ridge and in the afternoon at Mona Shores on the same day. And my father asked me, what have you thought about what would happen if they both offered? And I said, well, I believe I should be a man of my word, and whoever offers me first, I said I'm going to go there. And Oak Ridge called first, and I jumped on it, and from that point on, I'm not going to lie, the 22 years there, they were special.
Yeah.
It's a community. I think one of the reasons Montague and Whitehall, or Montague and Oak Ridge always butt heads, they're so similar.
Yeah.
And so much pride in both communities and their kids and wearing that blue and white. And I just loved being there. But I always told my principal, and my superintendent knew it. They said, you're happy here, right? You would, and I said, yep. But I said, I'm not going to lie, if I had an opportunity to get back into the White Lake area, I would jump at it, because for me, I want to get back to the kids in my community. I've always felt that if I almost not like an obligation, but this community has given me everything. From my friendships to where my family lives to the education I received, and I just wanted to hope that I could do that.
And give back.
Give back. Yeah. So
on that note, you're gonna help me coach 8th grade travel basketball, right?
I want you to know.
I was setting you up, Brad. You didn't even know. I knew. You walked right into it.
I knew I was gonna get set up on some of these questions today, but
no, keep going. I don't want to distract. You're doing great. So
I'm the best substitute coach you've ever seen. I just want you to know. I mean, I can do it.
No. I'm just kidding. We got it. We don't even need you. Although I will tell you, I have to tell you, and this is just you've been so humble today, telling us all about all your awards and your mascots. In all seriousness, Brad, I've been talking to the kids, so the 8th grade kids, about we always do travel basketball after, and I actually didn't know if I was gonna be able to coach this year, and So every single one of them said, when I asked him, said, is Coach Tate going to coach? And I'm like, no, you just got me, I think. He might come in once in a while. And they were all like, oh. And I was like, what does that mean? So, no, I mean, like, you make an impact. I mean, it's good.
Thanks.
It's all good, man. You take some rest. You just
take some rest.
It's fine.
Man, I feel how hard I feel.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You got to pass.
Okay. That's good. No. That's good. Happy to have you back.
Hey,
yeah.
Thank you.
To say the
least.
And
it is. It's just, it's awesome to be that close. And like last night, getting to announce a game.
Oh, you were amazing.
And it's just neat. And I love the fact that last night after that Montague-Whitehall game, I'm watching the game. Obviously, if you've played in it, you've played that rivalry, it's special. But every time that a girl got knocked down in that game, there was someone from the other team putting a hand out, offering to, and
I never helped any Whitehall players up when they got knocked down. So I'm just letting you know, Brad. Like,
well, and again, we're not talking about records or anything like that, but I can't recall, Brent, a game against Whitehall in my career in basketball where we lost. So I can imagine where that would be hard to take.
Oh,
but,
I wish.
I know that. I just want you to know I sleep really well. Not that you. You're a Whitehall grad. I'm sorry, but
it's just a tough.
Oh, Brad, I wish I could tell you that after you left high school we kept that going, but no, we didn't. So we let you down, buddy.
That's good. I like that.
No, but yeah, it's an amazing atmosphere. My wife is not from here. She's from Boise, Idaho. And, I always tell a story when we first came, the first time she ever visited, right? Like, we got married. Like, so it's the first time she meets my parents, first time she's ever been here. And I've been telling her about Montague and Whitehall and the rivalry. And she's like, I remember crossing the bridge, and I'm like, we're in Whitehall now. And she says, you're joking, right? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you do know you guys are all certifiably crazy. You're nuts. She goes, this is the same town. And I said, no, it's not. You're mistaken. That bridge that you crossed, we are now in Whitehall, and it is a complete. And she's it. But now she coaches at Montague. She's like, I mean, it is pretty funny. But it is the community in general. As you get older, you realize, you go away to college. We've talked about this often, where like some of my better friends are from Whitehall because you're the same. I mean, you really end up being the same. So it's really good to have you back.
Though. Oh, it is, and it's I'm just very fortunate and glad to be back.
Yeah. So what's your favorite part of teaching? What do you love about it?
The part it's not even close. I'm a teacher that again from Mr. Harris. The ability and chance that you have to build a relationship with a young person. For me, some of the biggest role models in my life were my teachers, my coaches, and for me to be able to share some experiences, but at the same time, try to have kids realize that they got a lot going on right now. At all times in our country's history, they've had a lot going on, but especially with this pandemic and things, it's nice, I think, for kids to know that they've got someone besides a parent, someone that cares about them as a person. Grades are way important, but for me, the kids need to know that they've got someone in their corner, and for me to say that I'm able to in any way make an impact, that's my goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just love the opportunity. For me, it's a joy. Yeah, there's days where it's like anything. You have challenging days. You have days where you're wondering, man, did I do anything right today? But kids realize, if your heart's in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trust thing.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No,
So I'm just glad because when both my parents taught at Montague, that was another reason of wanting to come back to this community. I wanted to do that as well.
Your dad was one of the best teachers ever.
Well, thank you.
He was amazing.
I had his mom for teacher.
Did you really?
Yeah, right before she retired.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think all three of us have. I mean, my grandpa taught at Montague for 36 years, so like we all have those kind of roots and connections. So, I know Zach. One of his big things, Brad, was to talk basketball today.
Oh, let's talk it.
Like,
I'm ready.
So I just have a couple of old school questions.
Sure.
My first one is the best player you ever played with or against in the West Michigan Conference.
It's
or
not.
Even
This isn't even a question. And I mean this is.
See,
no.
we argue about stuff like this all the time.
Yeah, this is why their opinions are good.
I played with
I was a freshman, Brad, so I wasn't quite where I was. You keep going.
Well, I want you to realize, Zach, here that back when I was playing, Brent was still rolling up to the park and he had on his Velcro shoes. And we'd have to stop the game and help him get him. Yeah, he still couldn't. He was trying to put him in an X formation. We're like, no, you just come straight across. He didn't know, so he's like, man, the hoop's so tall, and we're like, it's okay, it'll happen. You'll get it up there.
One of us has touched the rim before, the other one hasn't. So,
well,
not today.
I did once. I did when I was putting the net up one time for my dad on a ladder. It was pretty cool. All
right, I got us off track. So, who is it? I am like intrigued now.
No, it for me wasn't even a question. Doug Schloff. Doug is was a dear friend. Classiest teammate you could have. He's been passed away, unfortunately, now. Going on, I believe, 12 years.
That's crazy. It's been that long.
Yep. But Doug had a mind. He saw things new, even without a scouting report. It was strange. You're like, how did you know that was going to happen before they actually knew what they were going to do? He read everything.
Yeah.
And he had such a quiet confidence. I remember my very first game. He came to me and he knew I was jittery. I was amped up, and he said, "You nervous?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm nervous." He said, "Well," he says, "you get nervous out there, something happens, find me." He says, "Find me." He says, "I'll take care of the rest." And in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, he was the biggest and best player. I played with some special guys. I mean, I can go on. Eric Webb, maybe the best point guard I ever played with, also a teammate. But for me, easily. Now, if you want to go way back, I mean, I can get down to real specifics here. But I grew up in the town of Shelby, moved here in 8th grade. My idol was a guy named Dave Beckman.
Oh, Dave was great.
And Dave was the guy was a sniper. I've never seen anyone shoot like him. I've never seen anybody that was more of a gym rat. The guy was, when I was a kid,
you pretty much could have said Beckman, and you'd have hit the nail. Like there's like a slew of them that would have probably checked box.
Oh yes, and his senior year, he averaged over 25 a game without a 3-pointer.
That's crazy.
Yes, still has, I believe, in Division III, one of the top 10 free throw percentages for a career, over 90% at Hope College.
Wow.
My dad says, he's one of his top 5 players all time. I can go. I can go on and on. I every chance I had to be in the gym with my father, get to go as a towel boy, water boy to all those games, I soaked it up. Mm-hmm. And this conference we are in and have is special.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
And it is a small town, and you can say what you want, but we've got kids that have played this game at an extremely high level.
Yeah.
And, but for me, again, you're just asking from my perspective
who
I played
absolutely.
with. And Doug was unbelievable. And he went on and had an unbelievable career. Was on one of the most successful teams at Hope College. They went undefeated until the last game they lost in the tournament. But the thing that always impressed me about Doug was that you had the statistics, but the teammate.
Yeah.
He never acted like he was above you. He never acted, hey, this is about me. He never wanted to talk about himself. He was as humble. So for me, that also made a huge
That makes a huge difference,
So I got to say him.
I got a funny Schloff story. So this is about Coach Schloff.
Yes.
And
Coach Schloff, yes.
And it was actually happened a couple years ago. So we're sitting at our house, And, I've talked to my boys about basketball and, like, coaches, and I always used to talk about Coach Loff about he was by far the hardest coach I ever had. I mean, that guy, he just wanted everything done perfectly, and I was definitely not a guy that did I took risks, and you played for him. You know how that went. And so one day we're sitting in the living room, and nobody knocks on doors anymore, right? Like, knock, 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 doorbell rings, and my boys jump up, and they run over there, and they come back looking all confused, and they're like, Dad, there's an old guy at the door who says he knows you. And I'm like, old guy? Oh, it was Coach Loff. Yeah. And I swear to you, he doesn't look any different than he did, and I'm not young anymore, right? Like he didn't look any different. He could have just come from the gym coaching me JV year 30 years ago, same right? Guy. Like, yeah, and he's like, hey, Brent. And I'm like, I haven't talked to you in like 26 years, and but I mean, he just started right up just like that. I mean, I think that his personality, and I've bumped into him a few times. Like, I know his Doug's boys go to school in Manistee, and so Owen played soccer against him, and I saw him up there this year, and just their whole family is pretty special. They're pretty good people. So it was.
Now, Zach, you'll find this entertaining. So we played basketball all the time down at Township Park in Montague.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even after Doug's senior year, and I just told you what I said, when we would pick teams, if I had to pick Doug or Mr. Schloff, I'm taking Mr. Schloff.
No kidding.
I'm not.
That dude could play.
He played at Western Michigan University. He dunked the basketball when he was 50 years old.
Jeez.
Last time he attempted that, I remember hearing that story from Doug himself. But I would take him any day.
It's the wisdom, man.
And he played with us a few times in practice.
Did
and
he?
the first thing we always used to say is that he'd get the chalk out. And he'd polish his elbows, like the pool cue chalk, and like, man, everything was just, he could play, like, and none of us were even like close, T. Love was like that. Yeah. Coach Love was a little like that too. Sure. We had some fun, and he'd play. Because he was pretty young when he coached. Right. We were like his first varsity team, and he was pretty fun too. And
Troy Love's first year was my senior year in high school, and he dunked on us in a student
Troy did?
teacher game.
Oh yeah,
that's funny.
He dunked, and it was legit. And
he's still a good shooter.
Oh, he can shoot.
I think he still can. He stopped it. Kara and I were in here working late one night, and like, Kara goes, somebody's looking in the window, and he was on his walk, and he stopped, and I must have talked to him for an hour. But yeah, he used to. We'd play 1-on-1 after practice, like a group of us, and his rules were you got one dribble, and if I'm gonna have a hard time to begin with, right. And then I get one dribble. Look at me, I'm 5'9", not long, like.
What are you supposed to do?
He would just, and he had a great. I mean, he would just pull up on you and make everything.
Yeah.
And he could dunk like nothing. I asked him when he was in here, and he said, I think I can still dunk, and so I know it's great. But Ray was amazing too. Like, Coach Loff was just awesome. But yeah, no. Zach, who's the best one you've ever played with?
Like from my era, anybody that I've seen altogether.
You had to play with them or against them?
Because I don't know. I have to think about that.
Yeah.
The best player.
You weren't ready for this one.
Brandon Moore was like.
Brandon Moore was pretty legit.
I played with Brandon all the way through middle school, and that's a tough question with him being considered because he's such a freak athlete. Like, sometimes it's hard to decipher how good a basketball player Brandon was. He was good. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was.
Yeah, but he was an amazing athlete.
But like too. His athleticism, like the dude could dunk in like 6th or 7th grade.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and at that time, no one was even close to him.
Yeah.
So it was just amazing, kind of watching him develop throughout the course of his high school career and playing against that kid. So I'd probably have to say Brandon. You know who else is like that too? While we're on the athlete train, was Jamie Potts. This is when I was young.
Oh yeah.
And I played some baseball with Jamie, and we'd play like pickup basketball or open gyms together. So I never played against Jamie in a game because he was 2 years older than I was.
Yeah.
But same kind of deal. I mean, just like a freak athlete, just like insane. Like not a basketball first guy, but some of the stuff that him and Brandon Moore can do, it just nuts. So
yeah,
I would say one of those two guys.
Yeah,
probably.
I'd say, man, I was blessed and cursed. My senior year, like my West Michigan Conference was amazing, and we honestly didn't lose many games in my class until I got on varsity. The first year played for your dad, and like he had to have been just like, oh my gosh, what did I get here? You know, like a bunch of short little guys. But my senior year, though, I mean, Chris Vanderslice played in that class. Jeff Hovey was a junior that year. I played against Jeremy Holmes my junior year. Holmes might have been the best athlete, most complete player. But then I played against Brian Montanati my senior year as well at Orchard View, and he was amazing. And like, talk about a guy that could just get what he wanted anytime. Like it's almost like you're almost insulted. Like he's gonna get 18 tonight only because he wants to get 18. Yeah. If he wanted to get 40, he would, but he's just gonna get 18. You know, like Holmes was amazing. He beat us in a buzzer beater at the hash mark. Everybody in the gym knew he was shooting it. We all knew he was shooting it. We guarded him, and he still made it. I think Holmes is probably the best complete player I played with.
Interesting.
And
I can't narrow it down.
First charge I took too as a 140-pound little dude. My first varsity game, he came down the lane, and I remember my dad afterwards. He's like, "How'd that feel?" I'm like, he goes, "Welcome to varsity," and I'm like, "That guy has chest hair. Like,
it's different.
He's 220 pounds and he can dunk. You know, so yeah, no, pretty
just
crazy.
Hard. It's just hard. You know, the best shooter I ever played with was probably Beckman, AJ from Shelby.
Yeah.
You know, they just I don't know. That's such a
best shooter. That's a tough one.
And ever played with or ever like, you know, like ever played with in high school or ever like seen or played with in general?
No,
like
just I would say played against or with in high school. Like that's a good one. Holmes for me.
Going off of just athletes, 99 at Whitehall, I had a skinny little blonde-haired kid in Mr. Harris's American history class who talked more junk and told me how good he was, and I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And Nate McLeod.
Let me guess, he played professional baseball.
Yeah.
The ball sounded different. That team your father had, that baseball team when he was a senior, that's still to this day, I consider that the most loaded baseball team I've ever seen in the area.
Yeah, it was once in a lifetime.
That team was, the talent was insane, and what great kids.
Yeah.
Fred Hall to the Miller boy to oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember all
Brett
of them.
Cagney, Josh Robart.
Yes, Chris, just oh my word, but
crazy.
Just yes, nuts. Crazy.
Back in it really was.
Yeah, it was nuts. Day. It was like cheat code.
Yeah,
Xbox.
It really was
for high school baseball. It was nuts. Yeah,
it was like laughable at times. You know?
All right, Brad. So let's talk about this year.
Sure.
Zach, what do you think? What are you thinking? Have you seen any varsity games, girls and boys? Let's maybe start with the boys.
What games have? So you've worked. I've seen you work a couple games, obviously. Do you have a good enough idea on both the girls and the boys' schedule, just to kind of have some input on where the league's going to end up?
I think so. If you want me to just again, that's just
just out. Spitball.
I think for the girls in the West Michigan Conference, you're going to be hard pressed to be anywhere to Hart's level.
I couldn't agree more.
They're playing a different type of basketball, and they play very upbeat, very fast. Yeah. Their coach was an Oak Ridge grad, had coached at Oak Ridge. Yeah. Style he plays, I'm very accustomed to seeing when Oak Ridge was back in their heyday. In the early 2000s, and they have talent. The two Hovey girls, the two sisters, are, I think, probably the two best players in the league, next to the Zulik girl from Shelby, if you were to ask me to just pop off some names right off the top.
I would agree with that.
I just watched, I believe they beat Shelby pretty handily, who I thought could possibly give them a run.
I totally agree.
And they didn't. It was 15, I don't know, 14.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like 14 or 15. That was the deficit at the end of the game, 30-11 at halftime.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's hard to tell, with scores.
So, Zach, you said Jade got hurt, though, right?
So the word on the street is, and I don't have any official details, so I want to be a little careful with this. But Jade went down last night, and some type of leg injury is what I've heard. So and hoping she's okay.
What an awesome family.
Oh yeah, boy.
You talked to.
I've known Jeff since I was a kid. I mean, he's amazing.
And Coach Zulik said, talking about great players, Coach Zulik said that Jeff Hovey was in his top 5.
Wow.
Yep.
And when my father left, and this is kind of crazy to me, but when my father left coaching at Shelby, the only other coach in Shelby's history since my dad left has been Rick Zulik.
He's been coaching there for like 40 years, man.
And I've got to throw this out. It's going to kill me because I still can't. My father, it makes me put my head down, like I got the cone of shame on. But I asked my father, "Who's the best point guard, Dad, you ever coached?" Without hesitation.
Here we go.
He doesn't even put a wry smile on his face. He just goes, Rick Zulik. Not even close, Brad. And it's not even close. So
I love it.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So I tell that to Coach Zulik, and have the utmost respect. But going back just to the girls, I don't think, I think it'll be a good competition for, who's going to be in that next tier.
Yeah.
But to me, I don't, I'm hoping, and I pray that nothing bad has happened to Jade.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will tell you that is a deep team.
Yeah.
And even if something was to happen, they're going to be just fine.
I totally agree.
I do. Now with the boys, this is as balanced of a league as I have seen.
Totally agree. Also,
and you are going to. I put it this way. I work with kids every day, and kids, they have off days, and if you're not ready to play on a given night in this conference, you're not walking out of that gym. I don't care what gym it is, or
you might be in trouble.
You are in trouble because these kids are coming to play, and the game today has changed. It's fast. It's physical. Would you like some predictions? Do you want me to
give us a prediction. Who do you think?
We can run some predictions. For
if I was to say, I was very impressed with Montague the other evening.
So I think everybody.
Zach and I walked away. I actually told Dave, I'm like, you've been sandbagging me. The thing I liked, and Zach and I were texting after the game. The thing I liked the most, which is extremely underrated, was the unselfishness in the way. I don't think any of them cared who was the leading scorer. They all played great team defense. To me, that was the more important thing and the more telling thing. When you talk about the off days, you're absolutely right. High school kids, even college kids, that can become a factor where something in their life is not going right.
That's right.
So the team that's got that best unity picks each other up. You mentioned Doug, and that was what was great about those teams too, right? They all got along and they were all good, and they're really deep. It wasn't a lot of let off from top to bottom. I had picked, I thought Oak Ridge was going to be right there. I was really shocked at how handily that ended up. Me
too. Scary.
Yeah.
Scary how good they looked. To be honest with you, I don't know. It shook things up a little bit for me for sure.
But I'll tell you, you better not sleep on Shelby. I can tell you.
You think so?
You better not sleep on them.
Rick's so I play in golf league with Rick. I've known him since I was a kid. My dad's a Shelby guy, right? So I never count him out, and he's gone through some years, the last few years, where it's kind of he might not have had the talent that he was used to, but they come and play hard every single night. Every time I watch him, it's not ugly basketball. They play hard. They always worry me. If I was a coach, I would never I'm worried about playing them, no matter what their record is or how they are. So, what do you like there? I guess, Brad?
Well, I guess going with what we talked about, how basketball is, the thing that I like about them is they're going to run the game at their tempo.
Yeah,
they're not playing your tempo. They're going to make you play their style of basketball.
Yeah,
and they're going to play half court. They're going to play a little bit, a lot of cuts, a lot of movement.
Yep.
I talked to Coach Ripstra from North Muskegon. I asked him. I said, how'd that go? And he said he says they beat us. He says
Did Young play in that game? James Young, do you know?
I do not know that.
He did a little bit, but
not a lot.
No, I don't think a ton.
He kid's an amazing player.
Yes.
Right.
Not a huge impact.
Yeah.
Also.
So, and I know North Muskegon. I think they're going to be a team that's just going to get better.
Chuck's a good coach too.
And he always has them ready by tournament time. But he told me, Coach Ripstra said that Shelby team they're tough. And he says that
they always are.
They're fundamentally sound, as they always will be. I think, again, just throwing some things out there. I think Oak Ridge, Ethan Josa.
Yeah,
I think he is he's not only an incredible person, student, he's a great athlete.
Yeah.
In all sports. So I think he's the most dominant post player, and I think if Oak Ridge, when they're firing on all cylinders, I think they're going to be tough to beat. But and you can't sleep on Mason County. You go up to Mason County. I don't care. You look at statistically, every team in this league, they play bad. Their stats are always down. They don't shoot as well.
It's a trap up there.
It's a trap.
I never played in a game in Mason County that at the varsity level that wasn't an overtime game. Like it was just every single time. You're 100% right up there. It was just like, for whatever reason, they got a couple good hoopers too.
Yeah, they have a kid that's really good.
Yeah,
it's like averaging.
They
20
usually
right
do. Although they've had some great teams too. I think it was like 98, 99 when they had Chad Plinus, and they made a run to like the quarters that year. They were pretty amazing. They had some good teams too when you were in school. I believe, yes. Brad. Yep. And I think we might have split with them my senior year. But yeah, that's.
And the interesting thing, when I talked to some of the high school kids that I coached when they were in middle school, and some of the Oak Ridge kids that I just saw, they're mentioning Hart. Yeah. They keep mentioning Hart. I haven't seen Hart, but I've been looking in the.
They were my sleeper. Like when we were talking at media day, that they were the team. I was like, man, they look bigger than and they. They've got a few guards that have played on the varsity for a long time.
Good.
Parker Hovey is slimmed down and. Yeah. If he plays anything like his dad, I held his dad to like 50 points in 2 games. So,
that was solid. That was
solid effort. He could have had 70. So, no. Jeff was amazing. If he plays anything like that, he's going to be tough. He's taller. They're good. I was a little surprised to see a 2-point game with Mason County, which is I thought that they would handle them a little bit more. But if Mason County's better than we think, that it's so early, it's hard to tell someone.
And I know you can never count Whitehall out either.
No.
With their athleticism and
so up and down.
Yes, and consistency is kind of the thing I look for from there.
Yeah, but, for sure.
They have the athletes.
Yeah.
Well, they could be. I also, but like you're saying, they could be.
They're hitting on all cylinders. They get Cam Thompson back. I think.
Right. That's another huge factor.
Yeah.
Kind of like Nate Boley having 4 points the whole season and then dropping 21 in the first half last night.
Yeah.
That's the kind that I feel like that summarizes like.
Yeah, you don't know which you're going to get.
How streaky Whitehall is.
Well, and it's funny you should bring that up because again, I look at how much that 3-pointer has changed this game.
Yeah.
And for me, that whole game with Oak Ridge is completely different. If Oak Ridge makes a couple of those threes, they were just off. There were a couple that were. I thought they were dead on. And you have those nights where it feels great coming out of the hand, but it just hits the back of that rim. You're just a little bit off. That's kind of how I felt they were. But I'll be honest. I'm excited to be able to go to these games and see the atmosphere. I do. I think I'm getting a little bit off here, but talking basketball, as a coach and as a former player, there are things that kind of bother me that I see. I'm not going to lie to you.
Brad, you're probably going down a road we've already tread.
Okay, because
tell.
Well, I
Coach
share
Tate.
A little bit.
Oh, I will. I'll be glad to share if you would like. You already gave me a microphone, so I will. It amazes me watching, and I'm not going to point out any teams but the carelessness with possession.
Mm-hmm.
The teams that realize the value of the basketball, that every time you're going down that floor, this isn't to just throw something up, that those points matter.
Right.
And I really feel that the teams that get that and figure that out, along with a strong defense, those are the teams that are tougher than tough. That's why I'll never count Shelby out. I won't, because I know
how
the expectations, and I know what Shelby's going to bring to the table. The other thing, I'm astounded at how poor a free throw shooting I see night in and night out.
That's because I know who your dad is.
You got it.
It is bad though.
But I mean, we shot free throws. I mean, like
yes.
It was important. And I remember my first year on varsity. Your old man was like, this matters, and we're gonna shoot the ball well from the line. And
my dad always said, come tournament time, 2 bad minutes and your season's over. But he said, if we don't take care of the basketball and we don't make free throws, it's over. You have got to, so for me, I watch, and I understand the 3-pointer and trying to pick up the pace, but at the same time, valuing possession, taking care of the things I think you can do, and careless fouls. I don't, every person's got 5, but the quicker you get that other team into the double bonus, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You really are. So you've got to be able to control yourself, and so
let me ask you this, Brad, because along those lines, we've had this kind of running question, and we ask all the coaches at media day, like, teams do not score like they used to, and so my kids have gotten to that age where they're playing varsity basketball. That Oak Ridge game the other night was a good game, and they scored 45. Was it 45-27, something like that?
Yep.
Like, I didn't play on a great team my senior year, and we averaged like 72 points a game. Like, why do you think that is? Like, I remember you guys watching you guys as a young guy, and like the buckets were going in. Like, and that is like, if a team scores 50 or 60 nowadays, that's a big deal. And the clock, it hasn't. What's changed? What's the difference? I know I've reached the point where I'm old. Yeah. I have reached that. I know. I mean, I just know my students, bless their hearts. They're always like, "Oh, Miss Tate, you're not old," and I'm like, "No, I there's more gray coming in that's gonna, than I see." But there's things that, I think today in sports, we've kind of, our society's gotten into this. Hey, if my kid's not playing in some travel league, if my kid's not playing in some team with a special uniform, they're not doing the right thing. Yep.
I'm old school. We just showed up and we played every evening at 7 o'clock down at Township when everyone was done with work for the day. Good farm boys. That's what you did. You had a job in the summer, and then you get to play ball in the evening. And I don't think you have to have that, but I know that we shot. We were better shooters. I don't know how to put this in. Not trying to.
No, I would agree.
Because obviously, to score more points, you have to be able to put the ball in the bucket more readily. And I just remember constantly, if you're down today, I ask kids, "Are you going to go out and play?" No, there's no guys that want to play.
Yeah.
And I remember, we didn't need guys to play. You
were waiting. You
played at 7, but you shot, at your house. You were at your, you're playing horse, you're playing pig, you're playing 21. You were constantly shooting. And today I see a lot of kids that they don't want to shoot unless there's a game. And games are important to be able to see and understand how to play it. But you've got to have those basic fundamentals. Like, you look at the best point guards in the league. They weren't born to be point guards. They've been pounding that rock. They've been squeezing them tennis balls. They've been working at that craft. And yes, we have talented kids in this league, and I'm not disparaging. But I think there needs to be more emphasis on shooting. Just if you were to ask me, because I just see a lot of kids throwing up shots that I personally don't deem quality shots.
Right.
That's where I remember that's where my answer came from.
Yes.
Was shot selection.
And it was, and I don't really have an answer. I have a bunch of theories, but like I know that when I talk to the kids and when I'm constantly good, better, best, right? Like that was a good shot, but this would be a better shot, and the best decision or the best shot would be this. And it really is like when you really look back, there really is a lack of scoring nowadays at the varsity level for both boys and girls. It is significantly dynamically different. I mean, I would bet, Brad, your senior year, you had 2 or 3 guys that were double-digit scorers, right? We were a just below 500 team, and we had 3, right? Like, so like. It just doesn't happen very often.
Everything's structured around that too, right? Like most of the offenses we see are a 4-out, 1 in, or an
open.
There's just not
the cuts. It's
all clearly it's a combination of a lot of different things. That's at least I think that it is.
Yeah.
But you can see all the little pieces.
Well, I noticed it. I played with the kids Sunday night. Really terrible basketball. I'm an old fat guy, so you post up and they don't even know how to get the ball to you in the post. Like it's just weird. And then trying to teach them. But I would say, for me, Brad, you mentioned a whole bunch of like guys that I looked up to growing up, right? Like those guys were accessible. Like we played basketball with all you guys, like, and that was passed down, and there was that teaching that was going on that wasn't Coach Tate or Schloff or Coach Love, or it was the teaching that Brad did, and that Tim Allison did, that Chad Peterson did, that Doug Schloff did.
Yeah, you learn from
Eric
each
Webb
other,
making you look stupid as a sophomore in high school at an open gym over Christmas break because he's that good, right? And you're like, how am I ever gonna, like all those little things. I agree with you. I don't know that happens as much anymore.
Well, and I again, I'm glad you brought that up. I mentioned to my middle school kids too that you need to get out on that court and you need to play with the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you getting knocked down on your keister. Get your butt up. You're going to get a little bloody. You'll be okay. But you have to. Those older kids are going to show you, and you're going to see things. And at the end of the day, they're not doing it to be mean to you. They're making you better.
Yeah.
And for me, I love the fact that during basketball season we always had Coach Schloff and my father would open up the gym Sundays at 1. You didn't have to come, nobody, but there would be we'd have 2 side courts going to basketball up and down.
But the fact that you just said that there'd be 2 side courts.
Oh yeah, man.
I think that kind of alludes to how many kids wanted to play.
Yes.
Oh well, you had freshman teams, right? Like we had a full. I remember my freshman year. I had Jeff Peterson, wonderful coach. I love Jeff. I still talk to him all the time. We had like 30 kids go out for freshman basketball. Like we had a full freshman team along with a full JV, along with a full varsity. And when we're talking about Township, you better make your free throws at Township, and you better get on a team that wins, or you weren't gonna play. You're gonna sit on the sideline. So yeah. How do we get that back? Is it gone?
No, I don't think it's gone. I think it's. For me, I would have to say, it's a baton. That has to be passed, and someone's got to relight that torch.
Yeah.
And I look and I see older kids that right now I'm trying to talk to mentor them to say, hey, you need to do a better job when you're on your social media of inviting middle school kids.
There.
Get them there. And you know what? We were at the day and age where if you said, hey, Zach, my parents are out of town, the guys I played with would have been like, hey, I'll come pick you up.
I'll come get you.
Yeah,
we'll come get you. You got nothing to worry about. And today there really shouldn't be an excuse if you ask. It's because
you
can still
it should
do
be
that.
easier.
It should be a lot easier.
Yeah, it should be a lot easier.
Didn't have to have a phone tree or a,
right. And I'm not.
True.
I do
Zach's
not want to
smoke
put down
signal.
coaches, but when I look at gyms in the summer, I see it sectioned off. You know what I mean? Like I've got the varsity at this end. I've got my JV kids here. I got my. No, I'm sorry. If I'm running the program, I want them. No, we're all here. We're all learning. We're all working together. And
hey, you talk about Coach Zulik. One of the things my dad used to talk about with him all the time, and Shelby in general. He didn't play a lot at Shelby, but he played, and he played back 60s, 70s when Shelby was still great. I mean, they've been great forever, and he talks about the stuff that they would do. Varsity players went in and ran camps and helped kids. It was part of you made the team. That's what you did. I think Rick still does that kind of stuff, right? Like that's a big deal to make sure that that's happening. I will tell you, I opened the gym up Sunday night. Montague's doing that. Dave has all there's junior high kids in there. There's varsity kids, and it's good. They had 12 kids up there Sunday night, and. But yeah, I think that's a huge. I agree with you. I mean, that has a lot to do with it. So overall, what I hear you saying is they're just not quite as skilled with their craft as it used to be,
right. Or not dedicated to their
craft. Or dedicated, but that's how
one
you
and
get skilled.
the same.
Yeah.
Now I do have to step in and say because I'm getting old and the brain, but I am going to go back. You said that I played with. And I mentioned Doug, and I want you to also know that both he and his brother were first-team All-Staters.
Yes.
And I don't want to ever, not mention Paul, but I am going to say there is no ifs, ands, or buts who the greatest basketball player in West Michigan Conference history was, and it's not close. And that's Paul Griffin.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now I never saw him. I idolized him. That's why I'm a Spurs fan to this day.
The Bruce Brothers.
I will tell anybody. You pull up his statistics.
Oh, he was amazing.
Yeah, different level.
Different level.
That whole team back then.
He averaged, I think it was 27 points, 25 rebounds his senior year.
Yeah.
Are you joking? That's but again, different style, but those guys were legends. I mean,
I think I talked to Zach about this. I worked for Kurt Babcock right out of high school, and I ran his. We used to have a couple of really good leagues that ran up at Whitehall High School. Some really great basketball. Kim, Bob Goslin, I think Dan Beckman played on that team. They played in an over 40 league, right? It might have been over 30. I think it was over 30.
Long time ago.
It was a long time ago, and I to this day like. That group of guys, and many of them were on those teams, right? Like, that group of guys would have won the Open Division that year easily. Yes. Easily won the Open Division. They were just the way they played basketball was at a completely different level. Yep. And they were all like you and I's age, like I can't imagine going out and playing at that level. Like, I can barely keep my feet under me. Last time I played with Brad, he broke his arm. So
I did. And it's wild to me that I still think that's harking back to the days again, way before the 3-point arc.
Oh yeah,
and that
27.
You want to know almost a lost dinosaur? I hate to bring up the Joseph boy again, but kids cannot play with their back to the basket today.
Yeah, he can.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I mean. That's why
he's far and few between.
Yeah, he's going to be impossible to guard because kids aren't used to it.
We just talked about this.
Yeah, we had that exact conversation.
I'll be honest again. I hate to bring up the Alma thing again, but I recruited the heck out of Brandon Rake from Whitehall.
Oh, Brandon,
that's cool.
Yeah. And he ended up going to Alma and as a senior and having a great career, a great year. Mm-hmm. But specifically, he can play with his back to the basket, and kids, it's a lost skill. And I'm sorry, I think the teams that can ratchet up the defense and play small ball a little bit, I think they can cause chaos because of the way they play, because nobody knows how to take that. Yeah. 4-out-1 offense, I kind of get tired of seeing it. And you can even look at college basketball today. Yes, kids are incredible shooters, but you can still see, I'm a Michigan man. I'm losing my mind with 20+ turnovers a game. That shouldn't be happening at that level and that skill level. And again, I get back to valuing possession. And you look at State, it hurts me, but they're going to get better. They've got better shooters. They play better defense.
They board better.
They board.
Yeah.
And and again, there's another skill too, rebounding.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think it's all one and the same. It's harder to rebound when you got guys on perimeter, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, long boards. You're not in a great position to get the rebounds the whole 9 yards. Billy, how are we on time? Or hour and 4 minutes.
A little bit over,
but this is good conversation. Zach, did you? I dominated this and asked Brad a whole bunch of questions. Did you have anything
it's interesting. That's why I've been, I like hearing about it too. No, it's super interesting.
So Brad, you're an exceptional golfer. It pains me to say it. Tim and Chris are gonna kill me. They're gonna be like, you can't be giving Tater any fuel. So any future golf coaching you think Phil's got the whole program kind of going in the right direction. We get
I would tell you. I told Mr. Mulder and the people that were on the interview committee, I said, if you hire me, I said I want to get my hands in there. I'm not here to sit back idly and just let some years. I want to do as much quality work with the years that I've got left, and I'm gonna coach in as many aspects as I can. Coach Bob Miller for me, my golf coach. And again, you talk about pride, and I know that today when people talk sports, are always, you got the big sports, you got your football, the baseball, the basketball, it's across the board, girls volleyball. Golf is one of those things that people just kind of often things scoff at or just kind of laugh. For me, I'm proud of the golf tradition Montague has, and if there's any way that I can contribute and give back to that program, I'm going to do it in a heartbeat. Awesome.
If I could go back and do it all over again, I would have put a heck of a lot more time into playing golf in school. It just didn't seem, I don't know why. At the time, it didn't seem quite as cool. I wanted to have a basketball in my hands, and my dad used to tell me all the time. He's like, you're picking a sport that's not going to love you back, Brent.
That's the truth.
He was 1,000% right, like dads often are, right?
They always.
And he'd often say, all the way up into last summer, he goes, "You should have golfed more." So no.
And I know that this will. Whitehall has had. Sorry, you talked to West Michigan Conference.
Oh no.
It's Whitehall Montague as far as deep traditions,
for sure.
But. When I came to Montague, we ended up with 9 straight conference championships, and that was one of the things that got me all fired up. I wanted to be on that team. I wanted to be able to say I was one of those numbers up on those banners, and I would love to see Montague get back to those. And again, that's another thing where kids, I don't know if it's technology that causes them to sometimes think, that they'd rather do that than get outside. Yeah. But, I want to do everything I can to make sure that kids can't say that, well, I didn't have an opportunity that was offered, that there wasn't someone there who was willing to help, because, that's kind of what I look at my job as a teacher.
Yeah. Phil was supposed to be on his way over here to put hitting nets in for the kids. We're going to give them some space in the garage so they can hit balls all winter, but. Yeah, it's. I'll tell you, for my kids last summer, it was a big shift. As far as wanting to get out and play, they're constantly asking me, "Hey, can we go play golf?" To the point where I'm like, "I don't know if I can play any more golf this week, guys." I'm whooped, and competitive, and it's there. It's just it's the little practice stuff that it's good. But so, did you win the conference in golf when you were in high school? Did somebody nip you?
I was conference medalist my junior year.
Your junior? Oh, you didn't get your. So I played when you were a senior.
Yep.
And you were phenomenal then too. Who nipped you your senior year?
I was a young man from North Muskegon. named Matt Benedict, who is now the head pro at Chase Hammond.
Oh,
there
lovely.
You go.
And he likes to kindly remind me of that. And I just like to kindly remind him about what happened our junior year. So we know it's and that's one of the fun things, especially with golf. It is a sport that will love you back.
Oh, yeah,
you
it
can
will.
continue to love. And, all those guys I competed with, we still get together, see each other.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's nothing but love. Again, I hope, people always realize, that I've always looked at the West Michigan as a gem.
It is.
It's a gem, not only the competition, but the friendships, the communities, the people, and it's awesome. And you got another man here whose father's in the education business,
Oh, yeah.
and you just mentioned yours,
my
and
grandpa.
it's great, and so.
Yeah. Well, Zach, I think that was good. Brad, I just want to say thank you. You were our first guest.
Absolutely.
Well, because Scott's in Cabo, I just had to say that again, right?
He can stay there.
No, yeah, he can stay there. No, this has been great, and I appreciate your willingness to come in and help us out on fairly short notice. And everything you do for the community, and being a teacher nowadays is not easy. It never was, but all the stuff you do for the kids too. So
well,
absolutely.
I do want to. I want to put this out there because I was. You didn't know this was coming, but it's happening.
Lord.
I'm going to throw my little blurb out there. I want to thank CatchMark.
Oh, thanks.
It's we got great people,
Yep.
and Brent, you're great people.
Thanks.
And you hire great people like Zach from our community, and you put in a business that is about nothing more than giving back. And I'm proud to be your friend. I'm proud to say that we have a strong community, but we've got strong businesses that are looking to help out people, and you do an amazing job, and you need to be commended as well. And thanks, CatchMark, for what you've done for both Montague and Whitehall, and you need to hear that more often.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'd be remiss if
too.
I didn't say that it's definitely a team effort. None of this happens without everybody that's in this office. And I've told these guys this is the greatest team I've ever worked with. Again, I spent a long time trying to get out of here, thinking I needed to see the world, and then every other day trying to get back. So
Yep.
it's been great. The last 11, 12 years has been just amazing, and I'm glad I get to work with the people I do.
For sure. We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
So I think all very, very
Floor's
grateful.
yours, Zach. You can take us out, buddy.
That's it. I'm gonna go cry. I'm gonna go shed some tears
So
after that emotional
I do
speech.
have to say one more thing. Thank you to Van Dyke Mortgage,
Absolutely.
North Grove Brewery, all those sponsors that have made this. We couldn't do a lot of this stuff or keep it going or doing the job we do without them. And Mario and his team at Van Dyke are just amazing at giving back as well, and we appreciate all that. And that's all I got. So
For sure. Thank you so much.
Thanks. It was great. It was great being here.
Appreciate it.